So never let anyone make you believe that you're responsible for the way they are feeling when you are not guilty. You're not responsible for anyone's feelings when they choose to not want to heal. Even if they are healing, you're not obliged to treat anyone for their psychology. This especially for couples. No one is responsible over another's ailments that they choose to keep and just exploit you for their own advantage. So welcome back if you're coming back, and welcome if it's your first time. So someone just reminded me of some years back where I had a bad leg on my right, but I never went to the hospital for treatment for it at all. Actually, I had mentioned to the doctor about the pains I was having from my swollen leg, and they had given painkiller cream, and that was all. But I had done a research on painkilling, and I decided to use alternative medicine from herbs. I don't know if I mentioned this, but my mom is well known for her knowledge on how to use herbs for treatment, and I guess that sort of also was passed on to me in a way, although I hardly don't have the much of knowledge that she has. My knowledge is only on what I research on, what I immediately need for treatment. Anyway, I can't remember exactly what the herb is, but it worked and the ailment did not recur anymore, and I'm thankful and grateful for that. I've mentioned before of all of ailments that I had, but this one lasted for almost some months. I had knocked my knee on the side of the bed, and since then got problems later on, and slowly the pain increased as well as occasional swelling was observed. It would pain all the time, but the swelling would take place, and when I thought it was taking a toll on me, where I would be heavily limping, dragging my leg, which I couldn't carry forward, it was horrible. And I couldn't go out at all. Thank God I didn't need to go out. And when I started getting suspicious over it, that it might be someone doing spells, I started trying to apply what I knew to get well. And thank God I recovered through prayers and alternative medicine. And it is a wonder, because I got my second pregnancy a month later after recovery, and again I wasn't able to go out again because of heavy nausea and pregnancy symptoms. But I still kept my cheer up, determined not to repeat the depression I had for my first kid. The first pregnancy, it was hectic actually. I was active and strong, and I worked during that time, but the people I was in touch with were determined to make things ugly. I guess they wanted some sort of miscarriage to happen, but God did not allow that. There were so many incidents where I was always putting a blame for something that happened, and the worst that was when I was accused of being part of someone's daughter being kidnapped just because she was last seen from coming out from my house. And I cried a lot during that time, because I was hurt that people, despite knowing me, could believe that I could do such kind of a thing. And there were some people whom I didn't even think would even think anything bad about me, but they also believed that. And the girl got herself kidnapped, all planned by herself and her allegedly husband-to-be. And to this day, they are still married, but living separate in different countries. The husband is somewhere in France, and she's here. I don't know what I should think of that, because nobody had the face to even apologize later on when the truth came out. And to this day, some people still are of thought that I was involved and shamelessly cursed me and the coming of my offspring. Unfortunately for all who had been against me, at that time they all ended up badly, and calamities seemed to start happening right, left, everywhere. The family who blamed me one night, their son, when they were preparing to go to bed, for example, suddenly their bed started getting on fire from the electric blanket they were using. and the whole house nearly got burned down. On top of that, their kid sister got a very bad motorcycle accident and was heavily wounded. Thank God today the kid is okay. I really love the child. It was like a chain of calamities befalling on them, and yet people still did not know the best. And then another family, the husband was caught for fraud and participation in terrorism. Another had their bride burn the whole of her front from hot water. The sons were involved in a fight and someone died. And the parents later on died from some poisoning, gas poisoning. And so many other several calamities, a chain of them happening, and people still don't realize what they are doing, and they still go on doing the evil things. I mean, it's not right to tell lies about anyone innocent just to save your face, just because I was a foreigner and they were thinking I had no one to rely on to. They had no idea that my reliance is in God, and that applies to me wherever I go in this world. God is my caretaker and guardian. Even if my mom and dad were there, and may God bless my father, it would still stay the same. My guardian is God. And it was during that time too that my ex-husband was not getting on well with his family, because they wanted financial support which they didn't want to give, regarding that I would benefit, and they were thinking they won't benefit, and they were not talking, and they still made it look like I was to blame for their quarrels when I was not involved at all. And for 3 years they didn't speak. That is what my ex-husband told me and made me believe, although later on I learned that it wasn't true and we were just 15 minutes away from the family. When my kid was born, none of them came even then, and neither was anything sent as a present or anything until my kid was almost a year old is when they reconciled, is what he said. And that was after I saw photos on Facebook and I asked him, and he just slightly brushed it off as if it was nothing important, saying a couple of months ago they made peace. He made me think all this while they were still quarreling, when I was trying hard to try and convince him to reconcile, because he was trying to make me feel guilty about the whole thing. And he saw no importance of telling me. Can you imagine that? And of course later on I realized that what he tells me was different from what he was telling other people. And they had all, it seems like they had all rounded up together to see me as the enemy. And it was like I was the enemy in the whole town for everyone. And behind my back, they were always talking bad about me and were criticizing everything that I did. They were never impressed with anything that I did which they had not told me to do. But if they had any part in whatever I did, they would feel entitled for the praise, saying I wouldn't have been able to do it if it hadn't been for them. And this had gone on for years and years. There is so much of that. All that drama they created unnecessarily. Sorry. It didn't matter whether I was present or not. I was just the scapegoat for everything. Just a mention of my name was just poison to everyone. And I was the bad guy in the family, as well as for others people whom I didn't even know. And they always blamed me for whatever was not working out for them. And the sad thing is that they knew exactly who I was and what kind of a family I was coming from, which had a religious background and status which they knew was not something to play around with. They did not care an ounce when defaming me when I was innocent. And for years they spread lies about me, trying to make everyone think that I was bad and being unfair to them, when they were just talking about what they were doing to me. And I lost a lot of money and a lot of so many good people and friends just because of all those lies. going behind the scenes. And I was thinking, and I was ignorant about all this thing. I was thinking that my ex-husband was supporting me from anyone who was against me. But he wasn't. He joined hands with those who hated me for no reason. And some of these people I don't even know. Anyway, some of you will resonate with what I am saying, considering that I'm guided to speak this out on my healing journey. I had totally forgotten about my leg ailment. And wow, I can't imagine how was it so that I was blind to all that happened for years. And my second pregnancy was likewise full of drama too. Actually, every day was drama for the whole 13 years of my marriage, which inevitably was never a marriage. God sent me to the family, to a place where I had never heard of, away from anyone whom I loved, and the only person I relied on to turned against me. And when I tell him this, he's like, "What have I done to you?" He doesn't see anything wrong. And according to him, he is the most angelic and he's innocent because he believes he has done nothing to me. And he used to keep repeating to me, "You would be nothing without me." And this is what, and he used to come and tell me, this is what people were saying. They were saying, "That girl is nothing without you." I remember time he had even quarreled with his mom, and he blamed it on me, saying I made him lose the only person he only had in his family, and I had no participation at all over the quarrel, and they were quarreling over something very petty. And then later on, months later, is when I realized they had reconciled a long time ago, and I was never told. Anyway, long story short, never let anyone make you believe that you are responsible for the way they are feeling when you are not guilty. People cannot just do what they want with you, and when you walk away, they have no right to try and make you feel guilty for the right thing that you choose for yourself. If you know for sure you are right, and you're saying no to any kind of treachery, never feel guilty. Never. They will try to make you feel so, but no, don't allow that. In fact, if you can, go no contact at all. I'm not so much able to be able to do that because of my finances and my kids, and I'm still working on myself, and I know that I'm making it. And so should you be thinking so. You're making it, and the way is just forward. No looking back. It's scary. It really is. All alone in a place where you can't trust anyone and you have to be on your foot for your kids. But God is greater than anything else, and He has your back. And that is all that matters. They can play all their games, but no one, let me repeat this, no one can bring you down as long as God has not willed it. If it seems to be so, even when you are doing right, just know God has a bigger plan for you. Be brave, be courageous, be bold, and stay to your principles. You're doing great. Doesn't matter how it looks. You can retreat once in a while, but don't surrender to their frantic games. So I hope this helps someone. And know that you're not alone. God has your back. Don't be afraid. Until next time, much love and God bless.